Well, thank you very much for allowing me to sit in tonight and to share some thoughts with you and with your guests. The primary purpose is to discuss what are we as American citizens going to do when America comes under attack from within. And in that context, I'll discuss various elements, part of what you just saw in the video, Cair, the Communist Party, organized labor in the United States, government officials, and how they are coordinating the basic attack on our civil liberties. We'll talk about the dangers. The danger is primarily something called the normalcy bias. If you've never heard of that term, you can look it up under Google it. You'll see a lot of thought, but basically it's human nature's propensity for shying away from the real danger. So, for example, if you're in your house and someone says you need to have fire extinguishers, and you say, well, I'll get that next week, because the propensity is to think that there won't be a fire. But if there is a fire, then you'll say, gee whiz, it's too late. I wish I had those fire extinguishers. If you're in a movie theater and someone yells fire, people get up and run like hell. But then it's too late. So I want to discuss the normalcy bias and how do we overcome it, and how do we focus our attention this next few months on the elections, which are the ultimate key. The other part I want to touch on is what can we do as citizens, which I am, we all are, not officials. And the key, the very key, is to become educated on unpleasant things. Hence the reason for the video, both videos. And the way we can become educated in our own sphere of influence are several. First and foremost, I would encourage you to listen to 94.9, and in particular the Lee Elsey show and the JB show in the afternoon. And in more particular, to listen on Thursday, I believe it is, when Colonel Rob Simmons is on the air. Because he is the foremost leader in Connecticut and a true patriot, and he has more knowledge. So that knowledge you can glean from him will benefit. But it's our duty, your duty, to jot them down, talk to your friends, talk to your relatives, and figure out what are we going to do to make sure that we can stop this attack in America. So what are we going to do to change the current course of events in this country? The ultimate goal, I suggest, is to ensure that we have the largest turnout of voter participation in November possible. It's our duty to remove all politicians in whatever office that fail to live up to their oath of office, and those who would subvert America for their own political purposes, whatever party they may be. And to do that, it's going to be necessary that we figure new and innovative ways to increase voter turnout. So that's kind of my hope and goal, that we can make this a very productive time, and hopefully at the end of the day, at the end of November, people will be elected to office at all levels, state and federal, that will adhere to the principles of the Constitution and force those in government positions to live up to the Constitution. So, that having been said, I have the first chart, please.
All right. Reg, camera 3. All right. Take the number down, Reg.
That doesn't focus, does it?
The phone number.
Can they focus on that at all?
Yeah, it's set up for the other one, so but they can probably.
All right, well, I'll summarize it, and then we'll try to get these up on the website so you can see that. But along the top line, the upper part, this is the forces that are organized against our Constitution and our way of life. And I'll just run down there quickly. The United Nations, the Communist Party USA, the Democratic Progressive Caucus. And by the way, I just want to emphasize there are as many patriotic Democrats in this country and conservative Democrats than one would imagine. When I refer to the Democratic, it's the part of the the party that has been hijacked, pirated by the progressives, by the communists. And so that's what I refer to in this Democratic Progressive Caucus, and I'll explain that. Then you have the Muslim Brotherhood and Cair, which are linked together at the hip. You just saw the video by Mark Levin. We'll talk about that. You have organized labor, the labor officials, not the rank and file. The rank and file are patriotic Americans, but the senior officials have joined to help advance this agenda of pure socialism or Marxism. There's no question about it, and in certain cases it's a fact that some of the organized labor officials have been instrumental in tearing down the whole Middle East and causing the trouble we have over there. So then under that, President Obama has the Senate and the Congress, and over on the right there's a whole plethora of federal agencies, EPA, DOE, IRS, all of them. And all of them under direction are writing rules and regulations to put the jackboot on our necks and on our Constitution. And I urge you to study and research this. You can find as much information as you wish on the internet and other sources, but it's our duty to know about what is happening. So what can we do as U.S. citizens? I mentioned the normalcy bias, and that's something we need to talk about perhaps next week if we run out of time. But I want to say we have a pen and we have a phone, and we will vote. And by the pen and the phone, I mean that it is our duty to start a flood of communications to our elected officials, holding them accountable for their actions, asking them questions about what issues they support or which ones do they repudiate. As an example, our congressman from 2nd District has been demonstrated to be consorting with Cair. So it's your duty to send him a letter, send him an email, and use the pen and find out, or call the office. So on the website will be the phone numbers, addresses, and emails so that you can become an active participant holding all of your elected officials, state and federal, accountable for their actions. So that's the first overview of what we're going to talk about tonight. Now, the next step, I'm going to go into a little bit of detail, again, which will be posted on the internet, to kind of get into some of the weeds of the different elements. The first would be the Muslim Brotherhood, which Mark Levin, oh boy, you really can't see that, can you?
But you can see it on television. You can see it on television.
Okay, all right. This is to give an organizational chart that was done by Emerson. It's not my chart, but it shows that just one organization, the complexity of the network and how they have infiltrated our country through every part of our society, through our educational systems, as evidenced by the top line of that Muslim Student Association, and through every aspect of our federal government at the highest levels. I believe it's been reported there are 7 or 8 senior members of the Muslim Brotherhood who are in the Obama administration dictating policy and whatnot. On the right-hand side is a summary of what Mark Levin indicated, and that is the Council of American Islamic Relations, and their link to Hamas and all the terror stuff. And at the bottom, there's a little bit of information about the Brotherhood. So again, this will be put up on the website. There's a lot of information coming your way, but I hope you'll appreciate what the real threat to America is. Okay, the next slide talks a little bit about the Communist Party USA. They're alive and well, and for the younger generation, you probably do not appreciate what they are, but it's the group that our fathers and forefathers have fought against to save America, to protect America. I urge you to go to their website, www.cpusa.com. Very extensive. They just had a conference, a convention in June, and there's a lot of information. What you will learn is that their talking points, their mission, is precisely aligned with the left wing, the progressive wing of the Democratic Party. So they have hijacked the Democratic Party for their own purposes. And you'll see as we go through this in detail that they are in collusion with different caucuses, different groups of the Congress. And I'll explain that as we go forward. So can the audience read this, or do I need to read through it?
No, actually, they can read it good.
Okay.
I'm actually the cameraman.
Okay, all right. So if you can read that, then we're a little short on time. We'll kind of skip over the key parts. The bottom line comment here is that they state that socialism is again becoming recognized among the people of the United States as the only real alternative to capitalism. Ladies and gentlemen, I challenge anybody to call in and tell me where, what country, whenever has communism ever been a success. And they want to destroy what made America great. The next slide, please. Progressive Caucus. Congress, you may or may not know, has several groups like the Congressional Black Caucus. Well, the Communist Party linked up with the far left members of the Democratic Party, leaving the patriotic Democrats to their own devices. And with President Obama on the far left, as you'll find out, they are all in collusion. So the Progressive Caucus, it consists of about 70 some odd members of Congress. It's co-chaired by a guy named Raul Grijalva. And I would encourage you to go to the internet and find out who he is. What you'll find is that he has been supported over the years by the Communist Party. Keith Ellison, congressman out of Minnesota, very close with the Muslim Brotherhood and has strong ties to the Communist Party. And you'll see this in the research that we will provide. Now, the Progressive Caucus has very close ties with the Congressional Black Caucus and the Communist Party USA, and in particular, the Populist Caucus. Now, I never heard of the Populist Caucus until, in my research, I discovered that our Congressman Courtney, was a member of, joined the caucus, never told us about it in his stuff, but he joined the caucus, and I will describe what that caucus means. That caucus has since ceased to exist, but it indicates the mindset of our elected politicians. And I say that the Progressive Caucus, they all are strong supporters of President Obama's policies, with a few exceptions. Next slide, please. The Populist Congressional Caucus. Like the Communist Party USA and like the Progressive Caucus, they urge political system change that favors people over the elites, or favors the common people over the rich and wealthy business owners. Does that sound like the Democratic Party and the Wall Street sit-in? Although it was created in 2009, members of the caucus include, and next slide. Oh, well, let me do the founding principles. We'll talk about the founding principles first.
Okay.
Yeah. What they're advocating is anything but the Constitution, because the Constitution guarantees equitable application of laws to everybody. And what they call for is communism, Marxism. And you can read this at your leisure when it's posted on the website. But you'll notice all of the items that they talk about, like good paying jobs, highly centralized organizations. This is all the talking points that you'll hear in November by the left wing of the Democratic Party. Okay, and then the members are extensive, were extensive, but you'll note there are three key people that I would call your attention to. One is Rosa DeLauro, who's known to have ties with the Communist Party. Keith Ellison, known to have ties to the Communist Party
And Muslims.
and the Muslim Brotherhood, and Joe Courtney. Although not in my research was I able to find any reference in his public information of his allegiance or his thought process. Okay. Next, the former KGB officer Yuri Bezmenov, there was a video I think was shown on this show a while ago, who was a KGB agent back in the late 70s, I believe, whose job as a member of the Communist Party, KGB, was to help destroy America. And he described 4 phases of what his tasks were. And we don't have time to go through all 4 stages, but I would like to have you consider the 4th stage. Where is the 4th stage? There. Can they read the other 4th stage? Okay. And if you would read that, and go to the website and read it again, and consider, where are we today in that 4th stage of the destruction of the American Constitution and the American way of life? Can you read that? Take a moment to read it.
It's been up there. Actually, the camera can't even see us, so,
Oh, okay.
yeah. They have no idea Wally's sitting there picking
Okay.
his nose, picking his ear.
All right. Okay, so
They can hear it, but, right?
Yeah.
So we'll leave that, but we'll put this on the website. I urge you to study these 4 stages.
Anything else to show them?
The next is the oath of office,
The,
Right.
which one?
the congressional.
All right. We got 4 minutes left, guys, so we will,
I urge you to read the oath of office that all of our elected officials take. And after you read it, I would like you to consider which officials have adhered to the oath that they swore to adhere to. And next week, we can talk about your thoughts about what are our politicians doing, have they adhered to this, considering the fact that some of those that we mentioned tonight are actively pursuing the goals and missions of the Communist Party and Cair. Both have the same goal of destroying America in the form that we know about it.
3 minutes left, guys.
Hillary Clinton,
Finally, and we'll put this on the website. This is the last thing. This simply shows the voting record of our elected officials in line with one another, and you'll see that our elected officials vote more than 95, 98% of the time, along with the principles of the Communist Party USA. Grijalva, Pelosi, Ellison, et al. So anyway, that's all I have for tonight. I know it's a quick fire hose of information, and we can talk more next week about how we're going to organize and
Reg?
increase voter turnout.
JD, absolutely amazing. Hopefully you guys are absorbing this, because the information's important, and it's stuff that I couldn't take all this time to put together with everything else I do in life, and so I appreciate all the work you do. But you know, if there's any heroes in life, who would be your 2 heroes?
Well, on the local level, it's people like JB, Lee Elsey, Colonel Simmons. These gentlemen have stood up and said it like it is, and that's what we need right now. There's no need for dancing around. On the national level, people like Michelle Bachmann, Louis Gohmert, who have been willing to stand up and tell the truth. And obviously, the Mark Levins and the Michael Savages, I highly respect their courage in standing up for what they believe.
And don't forget Captain Glenn Somasi from the Coast Guard.
Absolutely.
He
Yes.
stands up for the Christians, and he is one of the greatest men I've ever met, alongside with Rob Simmons. And you know, to speak out about the Christians being slaughtered around the world, and it is time the Christians take a stand, and you know, a firm stand.
I think it's important for the Pope to stand up too.
All Christians, Wally,
Right.
including
The
yourself.
Pope is very important, and
Pull-
he's better
Yeah.
get with it.
Pull your underwear up, Wally. Tighten your belt.
I'm upset with him.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, we're fading out, guys. I hope you enjoyed the show. Next week, JD will be back with us to follow up.
What difference at this point does it make?